Calix Boxing, we are live. Hit that sub button for nightly boxing videos. And we have a special guest tonight. D-Style Boxing. D-Style, I rolled out the red carpet for you. Are you ready? I rolled out the red carpet for you.
Well, what are the trumpets? I don't hear no trumpets, and I hear no any
Let me get
rose
these
petals.
Google effects for you because I got the red carpet out for you. I mean, let's see what else I can do here. Let's get the, yeah. There's the
Women in
applause.
bikinis.
There's your trumpets right there.
Women in bikinis.
Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith. It just went final, and Canelo with the vicious body shot to end it in the ninth. Great body work as always with Canelo. What'd you think of the fight? Because I mean, not too many people in the States knew much about Liam Smith coming in, besides us hardcore boxing fans. But even us hardcore boxing fans, really, in the States anyway. I know people from the UK kept telling me, look, Liam Smith's going to surprise you. Liam Smith can pull off the upset. Liam Smith can do that. But not too many of us believed it. Liam Smith actually looked decent tonight. I mean, he was outgunned, let's be honest. I mean, but he looked decent tonight. He made it an entertaining one-sided fight. That's what this was. It was an entertaining one-sided bout because although Liam Smith from the third or fourth round on was competitive in these rounds, Canelo was still racking them up just based off of the power punching and what he was doing, effective aggression as well. So what did you think of the fight?
I think Liam Smith brought a Glock, and Canelo Alvarez had a shotgun. So I think that was a fight.
Yeah.
I did hear a lot about because I had never watched Liam Smith fight live before. I had seen him I'd seen some highlights of him before, but I never seen him fight live. In fact, when they first said that Canelo was going to fight Liam Smith, I kind of didn't believe it. I was kind of like,
Right.
Is he really? But then he did fight him, right? So then I was compelled, and I said, okay, let me go ahead and watch this guy. And from the very beginning, I saw what I believe anyway, a former fighter himself, Oscar De La Hoya saw, because if this is the fight they gave him. Liam Smith was going to be open for body shots. Liam Smith's going to be open for uppercuts. And he was going to be open for hooks if he tried to work the body against Canelo. I kind of expected that. And that's not me Monday morning quarterbacking. That was basically my prediction, right, and my breakdown.
Right.
I also felt that, a lot of UK fans are telling me, this guy, he's really good. He's really good at working the body. And look, he's fighting a Mexican fighter. That's the first thing they learn in the gym, working the body. So Canelo being a short, stocky guy, 5'7", it's the inside fighting was going to favor him over Liam Smith any day. And I think he showed not only was he more powerful than Liam Smith, I think he just looked more polished. His punches looked more crisp. He was just a couple notches above Liam Smith. It's just a whole nother stratosphere,
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. I got to be honest. I thought he was going to dispatch of Liam Smith earlier in the fight, but this was a type of fight where I watched Liam Smith fight, and I say, I want to see more of this guy in the future. I want to see more of him with the other guys at 154 because 154, in my opinion, is a division that's deep with average to above average fighters. I know people try to make much of Vanis, Martirosyan, and the Charlo brothers. I call them Milli Vanilli, and all these guys at 154. But Kell Brook's there now. I mean, why not make Kell Brook versus Liam Smith next year, Why not do something like that? There are fights that this guy can be in at 154 where they're intriguing. I don't know, but he did impress me with some stuff he did tonight. But like you said, and Max said it during the fight as well, it's an entertaining fight, but you can tell Liam Smith is outgunned. And not only is he outgunned, Canelo is a notch or two above him as far as technique goes and just overall boxing talent. And that was the story of the night.
Well, the one thing about Liam, I'll give him this. I mean, he came to win. He didn't come to lay down.
Right.
And he had the idea was there, to put pressure on Canelo and make Canelo, who's not used to, a lot of high volume, right? Make Canelo work. And so he had the right idea. He just doesn't have the ability or the skill level to execute it.
Right. Um, Also, we've talked about this in the past. Canelo is a weird dude. He's an odd dude in that you watch him fight and you can't tell, is he a big power puncher or is he not, because you see guys like Liam Smith who are in there with him, and they're in there with him for longer than you expect. I didn't really expect Liam Smith to take all that punishment and still be there in the ninth round, but then you see him hit him with a vicious body shot in the eighth and ninth round, and he wilts like a dead flower. So you're like, okay, does he just not have one punch power? Is it accumulation type thing, or is it he's a big puncher but his punches can be timed, and his punches you see his punches coming, so they don't have the effect of a guy with more of a speed knockout type of puncher. I don't know. He's a tough guy to gauge at times. He's another. I mean, another thing you see. Okay, Canelo people. The narrative with Canelo is that he has trouble with guys with lateral movement. However, he fights guys with lateral movement like Amir Khan, Austin Trout, Arislandi Lara, and beats those guys. So he's sort of a tough guy to figure out.
Yeah, he's. I think it's safe to say that Canelo is a heavy puncher. You could hear the shots, and just about anyone who's watched him live. I have a couple cousins who watched him live, and they tell me you could actually hear like the difference, right? Like when he fought Amir Khan or Austin Trout, Lara, like you could hear the difference of as far as the sound of the power punch, right?
Right.
Compared to those guys, anyway. He's a heavy puncher. Does he have that one punch, super duper knockout power? No, he doesn't have a sledgehammer like that. But there's no doubt that his punches are heavy. I think that they're pretty heavy. That's how I would describe his shots. He has pretty decent hand speed, that comes with that too. But I don't know. I mean, I want to say, look at the Amir Khan knockout, but everybody knocks Amir Khan out, so we could only go so much with that. So, but the Liam Smith thing, it was a really good body shot. He hit him with that body shot a couple times in a fight, and you don't have to be a power puncher to really hurt somebody to the body. So it's hard to gauge. I get it. It's one fight. It's like he looks like a devastating puncher. The next fight, you're like, well, it doesn't appear to me it's that hard. So it's definitely hard to gauge Canelo. That's for sure.
I think the narrative after this fight, too, that you'll see on here will be that Canelo got hit a lot, that Canelo showed some flaws in this fight. He shouldn't have been in there along with this guy. But I think that the thing with Canelo in this fight, too, is I think you can attribute it to maybe he didn't respect this guy's power that much, and he just wanted to walk through his shots and get to him and land his own shots. I mean, I think it's a little bit of that, and you got to give Liam Smith credit. As you said, he wanted to win. He tried to execute. He just didn't have the tools to execute. But he did land shots against Canelo. What does that mean in the future? I'm not sure. I guess it depends on who Canelo is going to fight next. I didn't see the co-main event. Who won out of Rosado and Willie Monroe Jr.?
Willie Monroe?
I don't even know. Okay, that's what I predicted, but I don't know if they're going to try to set that fight up for December, if they're going to try to set Canelo up with Willie Monroe Jr. I'm still trying to figure out, is he going to fight at 160 next? Is he going to fight at 154? They've been sending mixed signals because Oscar said yesterday after the weigh-in that they might try to stay at 154 instead of going to 160. So I just think if they're going to fight Triple G next year like they're saying they're going to do, why not try to prepare him for that guy at 160? And he's talking greasy after the fight again, saying, we offered Triple G something a month or two ago, and he didn't accept. And, I want the fight. And I see so many mixed signals. Does he want to fight Triple G? Does he not want to fight Triple G? I just think everybody's ready for that fight. Why not pounce on it now?
I don't doubt that they did offer something to Golovkin, right? The thing is, he didn't really. I mean, in a quick interview, there's no time to ask, well, what did you offer? What were the
Right.
terms? Like, Max doesn't have time for all those questions, right? So if the offer was, well, we'll give you 10%, and you got to come in at 155, then maybe that's why they said no, right? I mean, we don't know what he offered. And to make no mistake about it, they were insisting on a catch weight.
Right.
So not only that, I mean, we don't even know what they offered, money wise. So anybody can make an offer. It's just but if it's a dumb offer, I mean.
And he also said the offer was a month or two ago. Dude, you both had fights locked in already. So and he did say after the fight too, he said I'm the best fighter. So to me, he's taking the angle that I'm the A side. You're gonna have to give up things to get in the ring with me, even if we're talking about Triple G. And he sort of has a point, dude. I mean, he's doing better pay-per-view numbers. He fought Liam Smith tonight in Dallas. I mean, we talked about this off air, and did 51,000. 51,000
no
at Cowboy Stadium.
No doubt that Canelo is the A side in a GGG Canelo, negotiation. But all that means, though, is that he's going to get more money. He's going to get the lion's share.
Right. He's the face of boxing right now. There's no question about that. There's no question about that.
But
whether he can live up to those expectations talent-wise, we'll be able to see that when he does fight at Triple G. But he's definitely the face of boxing. I mean, if you can do 51,000 at Cowboy Stadium against Liam Smith,
yeah,
my God. And I'm hoping they would do a. I saw earlier in the week they're trying to lure Triple G to Texas as well. So I'm hoping next year when they do this fight, they do a big event in Cowboy Stadium or something like that. I'm tired of the Vegas casino cards. We talked about that in the past as well. But I just want to see the fight now. I want to see the fight now.
Well, here's the thing. Like, just because Canelo's the A side doesn't mean that Triple G has no leverage whatsoever. You know what I mean? The leverage Gennady Golovkin has right now over Canelo is that the perception is, we could argue about the reality all we want, but the public perception is Canelo is scared of getting in the ring with Triple G. That is a perception. That's even a perception amongst some, sure, a lot of Canelo fans get kind of, fissy about it, but it's the truth. The reason they get so defensive about it is because they know there's some truth to that perception, right? I don't think Canelo goes to sleep at night, trembling, thinking about Gennady Golovkin or anything like that, right? But I'm looking at it from Oscar De La Hoya's perspective. Why am I going to throw my cash cow to the wolves right now when I could sell out Cowboy Stadium? Well, not sell out, but you know what I mean, 50,000 against a guy like Liam Smith. I could still get a lot of pay-per-views out of him before I even put him in the ring with Golovkin. And I don't agree with that. I mean, I'm the type that, fuck that shit. I want to see the fights, But that's what's going on right now. And Canelo can't say that. He can't say, well, we're not ready to fight Golovkin yet. He's not going to say that. He's going to say the opposite. He's saying, we're ready now. We were offering them deals and this and that. But, at the end of the day, Golovkin, even though, yes, Canelo is the A side. Yes, if they fight, he's going to make more money. It's going to say Canelo versus Golovkin, not Golovkin versus Canelo. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On the poster, he'll probably walk out last to the ring or whatnot. But at the end of the day, that's what it means when you're the A side. But there are occasions where a guy who's not the A side can pressure the A side guy to get in the ring. Lara did it. Okay, there was absolutely very little incentive in many people's eyes for Canelo to fight Lara. But once Lara, invaded Canelo's press conference and was calling him out, and once people started talking, because that gets to a fighter. When the fighter keeps hearing, well, why doesn't he want to fight him? What is he scared of? What's the big deal? Once they start hearing that, then they'll make some concessions even for a guy who's not the A side.
Especially when that guy has activity and knockouts on his resume. Because Triple G, say what you want about him, he's going to fight 3 or 4 times a year. And he's knocking guys out. So as that builds and builds and builds, the pressure is going to – and you saw the pressure in the post-fight interview. Max Oscar's standing right next to Canelo, and Max is basically telling Canelo, do you want to fight Triple G and your team is holding you back? Are you taking bullets for – he basically said – I mean, he literally told him, are you taking the bullets for Oscar because Oscar doesn't want you to fight because it seems like you do want to fight. And I guarantee you the conversations are going on within that team. Canelo may be getting frustrated and saying, hey, I'm tired of guys saying I'm ducking him. And Oscar's like, look at what we did tonight, 51,000 against Liam Smith. Let's keep building this thing. I guarantee you those conversations are going on. And I said that last week about Danny Jacobs. I think getting frustrated fighting in front of a half-empty arena in Reading, Pennsylvania against Sergio Mora when Golovkin's fighting a bigger event. And I guarantee you, even though he's getting paid, he's having those conversations behind the scenes and telling somebody to tell Al Heyman, look, I want to fight this guy. I want to be the best. I really believe that stuff's going on, but Al Heyman is taking a different road with Danny Jacobs. Obviously, he doesn't want to get him in the ring with Triple G, but I think that fight may happen now because Danny Jacobs wants it. I think that's what's going on. But I think the same thing's happening with Canelo behind the scenes. I think he does want the fight. It's easy to say he's the boss. He is the boss. I mean, he can tell his promoter, I want this guy, and the promoter should make it happen. But at the same time, he's saying it is a team. He does trust Oscar De La Hoya with his career. And, maybe he is saying, hey, look, 51,000 against Liam Smith. Why not build this thing?
Right. I mean, I think here's the thing, right? I think when Oscar sits down with Canelo, he's not telling Canelo, hey, I don't think you could beat him. Like that's not what he's telling Canelo, right? He's telling, I think you could beat this guy, but we have to build up the fight for you guys to make more money, and I'm looking out for you. He's wording it in a way that doesn't hurt Canelo's ego. Oscar used to be a fighter. He knows what an ego is. Fighters, athletes in general, have egos. You know what I mean? I mean, if you tell Michael Jordan today, hey, I think LeBron could beat you in a one-on-one, like in your prime, what do you think Michael Jordan's going to say? He's going to say, hell no. It's the fight. When you tell a fighter, I think he could beat you, that stings their ego, So it's got to sting Canelo that no matter who he fights moving forward, he's always going to get the Gennady Golovkin question. Like, no matter what he does. Like, Gennady Golovkin isn't going anywhere. He's not just going to suddenly disappear. I mean, so that's got to be stinging him. And sure, he is the A side. Everybody knows that. He is the bigger draw. He does, and all that. But let's not forget, though, just, Gennady Golovkin did sell out Madison Square Garden, which is about 30,000 or something like that, right? So
sold out the Forum, too.
Right, so it's not like it's not a 90-10, A side. It's like a 60-40 in my opinion, And
by the way, how impressive is that a dude from Kazakhstan can come to the United States, sell out on the East Coast, sell out on the West Coast, and then go to the UK and help sell out there versus Kell Brook. I mean, it's impressive. He's got live gate power as well. He doesn't have the pay-per-view power that Canelo has, and we'll see what Canelo's numbers did tonight. But Canelo has a track record of a successful pay-per-view track record that Triple G doesn't have yet. But they both do well live gate, and they're both beloved by Mexican fans. I mean, let's be honest.
I was going to say that too.
As well.
I was going to say
that'd be interesting as well if he fights Triple G. Where would the Mexican – you'd have a lot of Mexican fans, I'm guessing, cheer for Triple G as well. Not a majority, but –
it'll be like 5% Mexicans cheering for him. But do a lot of Mexican fans, like Gennady Golovkin? If they're boxing fans, of course. It's hard to find a boxing fan that doesn't like Gennady Golovkin, right? And Mexican fans, of course, like him because he's, if we're honest, has pandered a little bit to Mexican fans, which is smart, I guess, but, like I fight Mexican style, like, stuff like that. And so of course, but there's no doubt. I have a feeling that I would say about 90% of Mexican fight fans will be going for Canelo.
But you do have a base of Mexican fans. I know them. I personally know some that don't cheer for Canelo. You know, I guess it's the pretty boy thing. I don't know. I guess it's the Oscar De La Hoya Golden Boy type thing that, you know, they don't really like that. But Canelo, he's just got a style that you think would appease to Mexican fans. I mean, they like guys who get in there and body punch, and I don't know. Maybe it's the ducking of Triple G that they're not liking. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, there is a little bit that there is. This is the sense I've got from Mexican fight fans. So, I mean, some of them have gotten mad at me because I say that Canelo's, you know, ducking Gennady Golovkin. I think that's the obvious fact, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I never said he's scared of him or trembling or anything like that. I'm just saying that let's just say that they're not in a rush to make the fight. You know,
right?
If Canelo wanted this fight, the fight would have happened already. You know, that's just the way I feel about that.
Yeah.
What happened to when he supposedly told Oscar, "No, I want the Lara fight. I don't care what you say. You know, get him in the ring." And De La Hoya made it happen. Well, what happened to that? Why doesn't he do that for, you know, Gennady Golovkin?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's something there going on. But the two types of for Mexican fans, well, I don't want to paint too much with a broad brush, but I'm speaking in generalities here. I know I am, but just in general, the two types of Mexican boxing fans that I've kind of ran into, either anecdotally, like in my own Americans out here, right, and online, right, just in social media, is one, the hardcore Canelo fan that, you know, Canelo is right by definition just because he's my favorite fighter no matter what. So you have that Canelo fan, right? And then you have the Canelo fan that upset with Canelo for not taking this fight. And then you also have, if I want to add a third one, a set of old school Mexican boxing fans that feel Canelo has been manufactured a little bit. That him, along with, even though I think it's unfair to put Canelo in the same box as Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right?
No way.
But there's that belief of, and there's some truth to it, but that he didn't earn his way to the world title scene like previous boxers have in the past. But I don't know that that's a Mexican boxing problem. I think that's a problem with boxing in general. Like, you know,
right.
I think that's just an issue with boxing that has transcended throughout. You know,
well, yeah,
so
there's some legs to that early in his career, like the fight where they fought. Who did he fight for the first title? Was that Ryan Rhodes? He fought him at 150.
Matthew Haddon.
Matthew Haddon. He fought him for the 154-pound title at 152. At 150, didn't even make 150. He weighed in at 152, and he still won the title. So
and Matthew Haddon was unranked welterweight at the time.
Right.
Not even.
And so there is truth to him becoming a manufactured title holder. However, he reached that point in his career where he fought Trout. He didn't have to fight Trout. Then he fought Mayweather. He fought Lara. I mean, he fought them in 3 out of 4 fights when people were saying, "Oh, he can't fight movers. He can't fight guys with lateral movement." So he went out and actively sought the top fighters with lateral movement and fought them. So that's another thing that's weird about him is there was that point where you could say he's manufactured, and then he went in there, and you're like, damn, he's got a great resume. He went on a nice stretch there. And then he went back to this, where he's weight bullying Khan, and then he's fighting Liam Smith. Nothing against Liam Smith because he showed well tonight, but he could have been in there with many other fighters, but better than what Liam Smith is at this point in his career.
I mean, the irony with Canelo to me, and I've said this to a lot of people, is he made it sound like the WBC had something against him when he told him, okay, you had your fight with Khan now you got to negotiate a fight and defend your title against Gennady Golovkin, right? And then he was just acting like, oh, the WBC is just being unfair, and I'm not going to abide by the rules. Like, this is the same organization that bent over backwards for you to win your first world title.
Oh.
They bend over backwards for you to get you the 160-pound title at 155. You know, they even let you defend a title at that catchweight. You know, so to even suggest that the WBC is biased against Canelo is very laughable.
Right. And like they're not going to give him another shot at the belt anyway, by the way. But
Like,
I have two questions for you before we
sure.
cut this thing. Number one, who is Canelo going to fight next? Who's he going to fight next? And let's throw Triple G in there as
That's a
well. And who do you think?
that is a
Because
tough one.
for Canelo, I've heard Willie Monroe Jr. is going to be in December. I also heard Curtis Stevens Curtis Stevens is in the running. Um, yeah, I don't know who else, but between 160 and 154, there's some names out there that they've thrown out there. It doesn't look like it's going to be Triple G, even though Canelo was talking dirty again after the fight, like he wants it to happen. I don't think that's going to happen, and it looks like the WBA ordered Triple G versus Jacobs. I'm hoping that fight can happen, but that's the danger of this building a fight is I think Triple G destroys anybody at 160, but Danny Jacobs, he brings something a little dangerous to the table in that he's an offensive-minded fighter. These are two offensive-minded fighters. There's going to be fireworks, and Triple G shows willingness to want to get hit just to get close to you, so he can do his damage. And Danny Jacobs can punch. He can punch, and he's willing to get in there and throw punches. So that's the danger of trying to build these things. Is that's Danny Jacobs is a live dog.
I have no clue who Canelo is going to fight, but I do know this. This is going to come from left field, but I wouldn't be shocked if they do the Cotto fight again at 154.
Well, they said Cotto, they pushed the fight back to January, him and Lamont Peterson. So I think he's going to fight Peterson in January. He was supposed to fight him in December, but HBO is having trouble with that budget. I think it was HBO he was going to fight on, HBO or Showtime. I'm not sure, but they're having problems fitting these fights into their budget for the year. And Cotto's worth so much. Rock Nation threw so much money at him that it doesn't even make sense for him to fight unless it's a pay-per-view.
The Canelo fight could happen. I mean, the first fight, it was pretty exciting, So
I thought it was a decent fight.
There are two names, and it's a fight that Canelo knows he could win,
Right.
And I think maybe Golden Boy will feel like people will get off their backs about fighting a dangerous 154-pounder. Because we could feel however we want to feel about the 154-pound weight class is some of those guys can definitely pull the upset against Canelo.
Right.
And that can definitely throw a wrench there. Whereas if Cotto manages to beat him in the rematch, they could do a trilogy, and Oscar will love that. I mean, that's just another fight to keep him away from, Gennady Golovkin. If there's one time he wouldn't mind Canelo losing, it's probably that fight. So I know no one's thinking about Cotto right now. Everybody's acting like Cotto's retired or something. Like Cotto just went away. Like he hasn't ridden to the sunset yet. Like he has a contract with Rock Nation. And I wouldn't be shocked if they just told him, why don't you fight Canelo at 154? He has the title belt. The WBO, I don't know who the number one contender is right now because boxing is so random nowadays. But the WBO won't mind. They'll make the Cotto versus Canelo fight.
And that fight makes sense. They're both looking for something,
Right. Because who else would you like? Because it's a risk versus reward, kind of thing. I mean, I'm not saying that's the fight I want. I'm just saying Cotto versus Canelo 2 will not cause a lot of outrage.
Yeah. It was close enough. People on here say they had Cotto edge it out. I thought Canelo edged it out, to be honest. I had it 7-5 for Canelo. But Cotto's looking for a fight. He's looking for a name. Canelo's looking to stay busy and keep people off his back while they build up the Triple G fight next year. So it wouldn't make sense. Also, next spring you could do Kell Brook versus Canelo, but that's too dangerous of a fight for Canelo leading up to Triple G, in my opinion. So I don't know. I just don't want to see that fight get spoiled. I don't want to see it get spoiled.
Yeah, I think Kell Brook is definitely a risky fight. I think Canelo wins, but I think it's a competitive fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a competitive fight. I think Canelo edges it out, but I think it's competitive. But you never know, man. I mean, if we're talking about common opponents, I know Matthew Haddon came out and said, because he fought both guys, he personally said that Cal Brook hit harder than Canelo, right? So I don't know why would he just lie about that. I'm not sure, but that's definitely what he said. So
interesting. Now the second question is Canelo versus Triple G. Do you give Canelo a good shot of winning that fight? The reason I give Canelo a good shot of winning that fight, even though I would favor Triple G, is Triple G, like I said, I was just saying, talking about the Danny Jacobs fight, is he does show a willingness to want to walk forward and get to a guy and not even use any head movement. And Canelo is best against guys who stand in front of him. And maybe Triple G will show him a different look. Triple G has shown different looks in the past. He can use some lateral movement. Maybe that's the case. But I just think when a guy hits Triple G, he sees red and he wants to hit him back. I think that's the nature of him. He wants to be in a street fight. He wants to be in, like he says, a Mexican-style fight. And I think that would be one hell of a fight, which is why I want to see it. It's one of those fights that two big names, but it's the type of fight that can be fireworks. It can be something beautiful that you can talk about 10, 15 years down the line with people that I saw this fight live. I just think it's an interesting fight because Triple G will be in front of Canelo. And you saw Canelo's body punching tonight. I mean, the guy, he can hit. He can bang.
Yeah, he has a very good underrated body attack, I mean, you saw. I was seeing all these highlight videos. I saw Guerrilla Productions put out a Liam Smith body attack, something like that, like highlight video, like real and stuff. I'm saying, he's okay. He's not that bad. He knocked out some average fighters with body shots, all right. But just wait till he gets in there with Canelo. It's a whole different ball game.
Right.
It's one thing hitting home runs in the minor leagues. Once you get it with a major league pitcher, it's a little different. So I think that's kind of like what happened here. Like Liam Smith was playing in the minor leagues and he looked like a star, but he was in the major leagues now. It was a little different.
Right.
But as far as Canelo versus Gennady Golovkin, I just believe the reason I do give a shot for Canelo is he punches of Canelo. He has respectable power, and Gennady Golovkin's going to have to respect that power. There's not going to be any, I'm going to put my hands down here, or because I'm bored. There's none of that here. He's going to get hit. They're both guys are definitely hittable. So if Canelo's got to hit in every fight. I don't remember a fight where Canelo didn't get hit, by the way. But if anything, I think Golovkin's had more performances where he already got hit, right, compared to Canelo. But I think they're both going to get hit. But it's going to come down to the way I see it, and kind of the fight's nowhere near similar. But I'm remembering the pre-fight interviews of Mayorga versus Trinidad. When they first fought, and the one question Larry Merchant asked both of them was, who do you think's going to take the other guy's punch? Like, will you take his punch better than he can take yours? And I think that's what this fight's going to come down to. Because Canelo, make no mistake about it, he will touch Gennady Golovkin in the face and in the body. It's going to happen. If Golovkin shakes it off like it's no big deal, it's going to be an early night. He'll knock out Canelo early. Because Canelo is, to a certain degree, is a sitting duck. He doesn't have the fastest feet in the world. But if he's able to catch Golovkin's attention, I think we're in for a war. I think it's going to be a war if those shots hurt Gennady Golovkin.
The main thing I find intriguing about that fight is you're going to have eventually a guy who takes Triple G's punch, and he's in the 5th or 6th round. You never had that guy yet. That every single guy who's fought Triple G, he gets hit, and there's a certain point in the fight where he's like, this isn't worth it. I don't think Canelo has that in him. Does not have that trait in him. He's going to keep coming, and you're going to have to knock him out. or his corner is going to have
Yep.
to stop it, which I don't know if that's going to happen either. But you're going to have to knock him off. You're going to have to separate him from his senses because I don't see that trait in him where he's going to say, "All right, I don't want anymore." I think he's going to keep coming. He seems to have a good chin, so maybe it'll be able to hold up. And what if that guy gets Triple G in the 5th or 6th round? And all of a sudden, Triple G starts to slow down a little bit, and maybe Triple G,
Yeah.
His punches aren't as effective later on in the fight. I'm not sure. So that's the intrigue of the fight. Maybe Canelo's that guy who can bring him into deeper water, and we'll be able to see something like that. Like I said, I'd still favor Triple G against anybody, but Canelo is that guy that you say, okay. I just like the way the guy talks and carries himself. He talks and carries himself like, I'm the best, and you're going to have to come and take it from me. And that's a good thing. It's different from Mayweather. Mayweather, I thought he won all 12 rounds against Canelo. That was just my opinion. And he just outboxed him. He just stayed on the outside, outboxed him, used lateral movement. Triple G maybe could do that. Maybe he has a lateral movement to outbox him that way, but he's not going to want to do that. I don't think that's the way he wants to beat Canelo. He wants to come and make this a street fight, and that could favor Canelo.
Well, I'm not sure if Triple G has the capabilities of moving around the ring or be as elusive as Floyd.
Not in that way. Not in that way. But I'm saying that could make it an easier night for Triple G if he tried to do something like that, but I don't think that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be a little more generous to Canelo. I actually gave him 3 rounds against Floyd.
I didn't see any rounds.
But I'm still looking for remember when before Floyd fought Maidana, and they were like, before the second fight, and he's like, did Maidana ever hurt you? Like, no. Canelo's a bigger puncher. Canelo hit me with a right hook to the body. I'm still feeling that today. Ooh. And I rewatched the fight. I can't find that right punch in the body. Like,
I didn't see it either.
When did Canelo hit Floyd with a devastating body shot? Like whoa! Like I don't remember, but
yeah, maybe he did.
Maybe he did. I have no idea. But maybe he hit him in the thigh or something. I don't know. But here's the thing: you mentioned Monroe. First of all, you didn't watch the fight, but he handled Rosado pretty good, actually. Rosado kind of got back in the fight in the middle rounds, but Monroe actually, anyway, in a strange way, right? Gennady Golovkin's victory over him looks a little better now because of the way I feel he handled and outboxed Rosado, a guy who's given Quillen fits, and he's given other guys fits in fights. Even though he never wins the big one, Rosado. He's just that guy that can't win the big one. He can't go over that hump.
He has some decent wins, and he looked okay against Quillen. I thought that fight was a draw, to be honest, and he looked good against Jay Leon Love for whatever that's worth. But even in some of his losses against top opposition, he looked okay. I mean, he's not a great fighter. Actually, he went to the 7th round with Triple G. Coming up from 154. So he's done some okay things in his career. And if you're a top-notch fighter, you should beat him fairly easy. But I thought that was a toss-up fight coming in. But Willie Monroe Jr., I picked him to win the fight because he has a good jab. He has speed. He can move in and out. And from what you're talking about, it sounds like he did that in this fight.
Yeah, he definitely did. I'm not sure because a win over Rosado, it never makes me say, "Oh yeah, this guy's going somewhere." But nothing against Rosado. Definitely, he's the definition of a gatekeeper. I mean, if anybody's ever been one, it's him. Where he'll probably beat some prospects up and coming. He'll lose to some. But make no mistake about it. I mean, Rosado, it was competitive at times, but William Monroe kind of. The footwork was a little too much. He was definitely the hand speed was very visible. Kind of like I don't want to say like a poor man's version of Erislandy Lara, but kind of was. He's just his footwork is not as good as Lara's, but that kind of helps him stand his ground a little more. So he lets his hands go a little more than Lara does. So in a way, kind of.
Dude, I can't stand watching Lara fight.
I don't mind Lara myself, but sometimes someone's footwork could be a little too good for their own good, you know? So I
Right.
think in Willie Monroe's case, his footwork's not as good as Lara's. So you could tell he's kind of trying to do the same thing, but he's forced to let his hands go more and stand his ground more than Lara would, you know? So he definitely has better combination punches than Lara too. But overall, I think Lara's a better fighter, but there's some things that Monroe does better. But I'm not sure if Canelo wants to fight Monroe.
Yeah. I
Because
could see
Monroe's
where.
footwork.
Yeah, I mean that's the type of fight that even if you win, you don't necessarily look good in that fight.
Yeah, like if I was Canelo, if I was gonna fight, I'll end it with this one. I would do Lemieux. I would do David Lemieux.
Yeah,
David Lemieux versus Canelo.
Lemieux can bang. Lemieux can bang. But that's still he's there to be hit. And like I mean, we've said that a million times already. That's the perfect opponent for Canelo. That's who he looks best against. Guys who are going to be there to be hit. But he can punch. He can punch though. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet they were cheering for Rosado to win that fight. That way they could do Rosado in December, but it's not going to happen. And then you could use that Mexico versus Puerto Rico angle for Rosado, but it didn't happen. But final take. What's your final take from the fight before we end this thing? Canelo Alvarez versus Liam Smith. Your final thoughts?
I think it symbolizes the problem I have with boxing. You know, and a lot of people can say, "Oh, you're being negative," and I'm just telling the truth. And people could go listen to my pre-fight analysis, right? A reason I always do a pre-fight analysis is I don't want to sound like a Monday morning quarterback, but this was expected. You know, you could maybe say, well, maybe he went a few more rounds than I thought he would, but no one seriously expected Liam Smith to win this fight. You know, even the Box Nation guys were saying, I don't know how I watched Box Nation. This happened by accident, by the way, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm in the UK. But here's the thing. So I was watching Box Nation, and even the Box Nation guys were saying, oh, yeah, you know, Liam Smith has to have the fight of his life. Canelo needs to take him lightly. He needs to make some mistakes and underestimate Liam Smith. I mean, it was like a series of things that just aren't. Yeah, all the planets had to line, and like, you know, come on, you know, like can he do it? Like, of course he can. If this happens, and this happens, he can pull it off. Yeah. Not very likely. Like, you know what I mean? Not very likely. So it's just expected. That's all, man. If you want my honest opinion, I hope this fight did terrible pay-per-view numbers. It's the best thing that can happen. Because if this fight did great on pay-per-view, we're not going to get the Golovkin fight. Right?
No.
We're just not.
Yeah, you're right. I would echo that, everything you just said. I mean, my negative thoughts on this is, and you know from watching my channel and us talking, is I just want the best fights, and we're not getting that. 2016 has been a pretty bad year in boxing. However, the positive from this is Canelo is still a star. I mean, if you watch Canelo versus Liam Smith, a guy should not be filling up 51,000 fans fighting a Liam Smith, but yet he's doing it. So it's always great to have stars. The article that I was reading about HBO not doing well this year, I read the article yesterday. It was on LA Times, actually. They were talking about how bad HBO is doing this year, and HBO's management worried about the direction of boxing because they don't have the stars right now. They need stars to sell fights and do viewership, and they're not doing that. So it's a good thing to have a guy fight average opposition and do 51,000 live gate. Now, whether that translates to TV, we'll see. But it's good that you have two stars out there who are going to collide eventually. Canelo and Triple G, and from there, someone's star is going to go even higher. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But as far as, like you said, it should have been Canelo versus Triple G tonight. That's basically what we're both saying is Instead of building these fights, just give us the best fights. But even if you don't do that, there was a better fight that could have been made tonight. Even if you don't fight Triple G, there were better fights that could have been made tonight. That being said, Liam Smith overexceeded what I expected from him. He still did make it somewhat entertaining for me. He still did some good things in there, and because of that, I want to see Liam Smith in the future. I'd like to see him in there with other guys from 154, and it does set up a possible fight between Kell Brook and Liam Smith next year. Who knows? So there are fights that can be made with Liam Smith, and Canelo, I'm just anxious to see where he goes in December. I'm anxious to see that as well. So that's my take. Okay fight. Much expected from what we expected Canelo to win by knockout, and good body work from him tonight, and Canelo moves on. Canelo moves on to bigger and better things. D-Style Boxing, I rolled out the red carpet for you. You delivered, as always, and hopefully we'll do some more things later in the week and in the future as well. More videos to come later. But good work, D-Style. And check him out, D-Style Boxing, on his channel. So on that note, we out of here.
Peace.
Later.